The smirk on my sister's face told me everything before she even opened her mouth. "Oh, that money? I used it for my wedding. You'll find a way to manage, right?" My name is Tiffany, and I just discovered that 7 years of carefully managed family savings, nearly $180,000 meant for our parents' future healthcare, had vanished. And my little sister Lucia, standing there in her designer outfit, had stolen it all. "What do you mean you used it?" I gripped the kitchen counter, knuckles white. "That money was for Dad's care. He's getting worse." "Don't be so dramatic." Lucia rolled her eyes, checking her fresh manicure. "Mum signed off on it. We needed it for the venue deposit and everything else. You know how expensive weddings are these days." The room started spinning. I'd spent years managing that account, making monthly deposits, while Lucia spent her 20s finding herself in Europe. I'd postponed my own dreams, the community arts centre I'd planned since college, to ensure our ageing parents would have proper care when they needed it. "Where's Mum?" I demanded. "Shopping for my wedding dress," Lucia's phone buzzed. "Speaking of which, I need to go. The florist is waiting. You're still coming to the tasting next week, right? I put you down for the chicken." I walked to Dad's room, where he sat in his wheelchair staring out the window. His hands trembled more than usual today. The neurological symptoms were progressing faster than expected. "Hey, Dad." I touched his shoulder. He smiled weakly but couldn't form words anymore. The doctors said he'd need full-time care within months. My phone lit up with a text from Sebastian, my best friend and attorney. "Got your message? This is serious. Come to my office tomorrow at 9. That evening, Mum finally came home, laden with shopping bags. "Tiffany, wait until you see the dress we found. Lucia's going to look like a princess." "Mum," my voice was steady, dangerous. "Did you authorise Lucia to take money from Dad's healthcare fund?" She froze, then busied herself arranging the bags. "Well, sweetheart, you know how special a wedding day is. And the venue Lucia wanted required such a large deposit. That money was for Dad's care." I slammed my hand on the table. "I trusted you both. I've been putting away every extra penny while Lucia parties across Europe, and you just gave it to her for a party." "Don't raise your voice," Mum scolded, falling into her familiar pattern of avoiding conflict. "We'll figure something out. Maybe you could take out a loan, or sell some of your art supplies. You hardly use them anymore anyway." I laughed bitterly. "My art supplies? The ones I stopped using because I was working overtime to save for Dad's care?" "Lucia promised she'd pay it back eventually," Mum said weakly. "Eventually?" I pulled out my phone and showed her Dad's latest medical report. "Dad needs specialised care now. The neurologist said we have months, maybe weeks, before he needs full-time assistance. Where's that money coming from?" Mum's face crumpled. "I'm sure between all of us." "No," I cut her off. "Not between all of us. You and Lucia took everything. You betrayed Dad. You betrayed me." "You're being harsh," Mum whispered. "Family helps family." "Exactly." I walked to the door, grabbing my keys. "And I'm going to help Dad by fixing this mess. You might want to warn Lucia. She's about to learn what family loyalty really means." "What are you going to do?" Mum's voice shook. I turned back one last time, seeing the fear in her eyes. Good. She should be afraid. "I'm going to do what I've always done, Mom. Take responsibility. Only this time, I'm making sure everyone else does too." That night, I sat in my apartment reviewing years of bank statements, transfer records, and the original agreement we'd all signed. My hands shook as I forwarded everything to Sebastian. A notification popped up on my phone, Lucia's latest Instagram post. There she was, champagne in hand, showing off the perfect venue for her dream wedding. The caption read, "Sometimes the universe just provides exactly what you need. Cat's blessed Ahijak bride Tobe outlined 6-figure wedding." I clicked off my phone and looked at the photo on my desk, me at art school graduation, standing proudly next to my thesis project. The community arts centre plans I'd drawn up, now gathering dust while I played caretaker to a family that saw me as nothing but a convenient ATM. My phone buzzed again. "Sebastian. Reviewed the documents. We have a case. They're not going to know what hit them." I walked to Dad's old study, where he used to teach me about responsibility and doing what's right. "They want a caretaker?" I whispered to his empty chair. "They're getting a case instead." Sebastian's office smelled of leather and coffee. He spread the documents across his desk while I recounted every conversation, every transfer, every moment that now felt tainted with lies. "Look at this," I said, pointing to a bank statement. "Regular transfers, every month for 7 years. Then suddenly, 3 massive withdrawals in the past 2 months. And your signature?" Sebastian asked, adjusting his glasses. "Forged. I never authorised any of it." He nodded, making notes. "The agreement you all signed is clear. The fund was exclusively for your parents' medical care. Your sister's wedding doesn't qualify." My phone buzzed. Mum again. 10th call today. I declined it. "What about this?" Sebastian held up a document. "Your mother's signature authorising the withdrawals. That complicates things." "She had no right," I said. "The agreement required all 3 signatures, mine, Mum's and Dad's. Dad can't even hold a pen anymore." Sebastian's assistant knocked, bringing more coffee. "Your mother's here," she said quietly. I stood up. "I don't want to—" "Tiffany, please!" Mum burst in. Mascara streaked down her face. "We need to talk." Sebastian discreetly stepped out, closing the door behind him. "There's nothing to talk about," I said. "You stole from Dad's care fund." "I didn't steal anything." Mum collapsed into a chair. "Lucia needed help. She showed me the wedding plans, the venue costs. She said if we didn't book it immediately, she'd lose her dream location." "And Dad's care? Did you think about that?" "She promised to pay it back. She said Fernando's family would help." I cut her off. "Stop! Just stop!" I pulled out my phone, playing a recording from last week. Lucia's voice filled the room. "Mum, seriously, Tiffany won't do anything. She's too busy playing martyr. Besides, Fernando's family is loaded. We'll figure something out after the wedding." Mum's face went pale. "You've been recording conversations?" "Since the day I noticed the first unauthorised withdrawal. I'm not as passive as you both think." "We're family," Mum pleaded. "We can work this out privately. Your father wouldn't want—" "Don't!" My voice shook. "Don't you dare use Dad to manipulate me. Not anymore." "Manipulate? I've never—" I pulled out more papers. 2 years ago, when I wanted to start the art centre. You said, "How can you be so selfish when your father might need that money soon?" Last year, when I mentioned moving to a bigger apartment. "Think of your father's future care, sweetie." Every time I wanted something for myself, you used Dad as a guilt trip. I was just trying to keep the family together. No, you were training me to be the responsible one while letting Lucia do whatever she wanted. And now Dad's the one paying the price. Mum started sobbing. "Please, we can find another way. Lucia's wedding is in 3 months. We can't cancel now. Think of the deposits, the guests." "I am thinking. I'm thinking about Dad's medical bills, his deteriorating condition, the care facility we can no longer afford because you chose Lucia's party over his life." "That's not fair." "Neither is this." I handed her a document. "Legal notice. We're suing for the full amount plus damages." Mum's hands trembled as she read. "You're suing your own sister? Your own mother?" "No. I'm suing 2 people who committed fraud. The fact that we're related makes it worse, not better." She stood up, straightening her jacket with shaking hands. "You'll regret this. When your father sees what you're doing to this family—" "Dad can't speak any more," I said quietly. "But his last clear words to me were, 'Take care of things.' That's exactly what I'm doing." After she left, Sebastian returned. "You okay?" I showed him my phone. 3 missed calls from Lucia already. "They never thought I'd fight back. They still think I'll cave if they cry enough or guilt me enough." "And will you?" I thought about Dad, sitting alone in his wheelchair while Mom shopped for wedding dresses. About Lucia's smirking face as she admitted stealing his future care money. About 7 years of sacrificed dreams and twisted manipulation. "No," I said firmly. "They wanted a caretaker who would clean up their messes. Instead, they're getting someone who keeps receipts." My phone buzzed again, a text from Lucia. "Mum's hysterical. Thanks a lot. You're still coming to the cake tasting tomorrow, right? Don't be dramatic about this." I showed Sebastian the text. He raised his eyebrows. "She really doesn't get it, does she?" "No," I replied, typing my response. "Sorry, can't make it. Too busy meeting with fraud investigators, but don't worry. I'm sending them all your receipts instead." I turned to Sebastian. "How long until we can file?" "Give me 48 hours to prepare everything." "Good." I gathered my papers. "Because Dad's doctor called this morning. His condition's getting worse. We're out of time for games." The wedding venue was exactly as pretentious as I expected. A restored mansion with manicured gardens and a fountain that probably cost more than Dad's monthly medical bills. I smoothed my blazer and approached the front desk with practiced calm. "Hi, I'm here to see Zariah. About the Phillips West wedding?" The wedding planner appeared moments later, elegant in a tailored suit. "You must be the sister of the bride. Lucia talks about you constantly." "I bet she does," I smiled. "I'm actually here about the charitable giving program. I heard you offer donation options for couples who want to give back to the community." Zariah brightened. "Yes. We partner with several local charities. Would you like to see the options?" As she led me through the venue, I carefully steered the conversation. "The deposit must have been substantial for a place like this." "Oh yes, especially with the premium package Lucia chose. The initial payment alone was—" She checked herself. "Well, I probably shouldn't discuss specifics." "No need. I handled the transfer myself." The lie rolled off my tongue smoothly. "I'm just double-checking everything's in order." Zariah relaxed. "Of course, the paperwork's in my office. Lucia mentioned you manage the family finances." Her office was meticulously organised. As she pulled out the files, I noticed a slight frown. "Is something wrong?" "No, it's just—" She hesitated. "The authorization signatures looked a bit different on some forms. I assumed it was just rush signing, but—" "May I see?" She handed me the papers. There it was. My forged signature. Not even a good attempt. Lucia had always been careless. "Actually," I said carefully, "I never signed these." Zariah's eyes widened. "But Lucia said—" "She told me you were handling everything." "Did she? Interesting." I took photos of the documents with my phone, because that money was meant for our father's medical care. He has a degenerative condition. Zariah sat heavily in her chair. "Oh, God. She said it was a family fund you were managing. She made it sound like I'm just the family accountant. The passive big sister who won't make waves. She said those exact words yesterday." Zariah looked sick. "When I questioned some of the expenses, she said, 'My sister's too passive to fight back. She's basically a glorified accountant.'" Perfect. I hadn't expected such a clean confession. "Would you be willing to make a statement about that conversation?" Before Zariah could answer, voices approached. I recognised Lucia's laugh, followed by Fernando's deeper tone. "Hide me," I whispered. "Please." Zariah quickly ushered me behind a decorative screen just as Lucia burst in. "Zariah! The florist is being impossible about the imported roses. You need to fix this." "Lucia," Zariah's voice was different now, cooler, professional. "We need to discuss some irregularities in the payment documentation." "What irregularities? Everything's paid for." "The signatures don't match, and I've just learned some concerning information about the source of the funds." "Who have you been talking to?" Lucia's voice sharpened. "Did my sister contact you?" "I have an ethical obligation to ensure all transactions are legitimate." "Ethical?" Lucia laughed. "You're a wedding planner, not a judge. Just do your job and make my wedding perfect." "Lucia," Fernando interrupted. "Maybe we should listen." "Stay out of this! God, why is everyone trying to ruin everything?" I heard papers rustling. "These contracts," Zariah said firmly, "appear to contain forged signatures. I can't proceed without verifying." "Fine," Lucia snapped. "I'll find another planner, someone who knows their place. Come on, Fernando." After they stormed out, I emerged from hiding. Zariah looked shaken. "I'm so sorry, I had no idea." "Not your fault," I smiled grimly. "But if you're willing to help make this right—" She pulled out a USB drive. "I record all client meetings for liability purposes. Yesterday's conversation is on here, along with copies of all contracts and communications." She handed it to me. "I'm quitting as her planner anyway. This is wrong. Thank you." I took the drive. "One more thing. Could you hold off on telling her you're quitting? Just for a few days?" "Why?" "Because she's having a bridal shower this weekend. And I'd hate for her to have time to find a replacement planner before she gets served with legal papers in front of all her influencer friends." Zariah's eyes widened. Then she smiled slowly. "You're nothing like what she described." "No," I agreed, checking my phone. Sebastian had texted that the papers were ready. "I'm really not." As I left, I heard Zariah making a call. "Hi." "Yes." I need to inform the venue about some accounting irregularities with the Phillips West wedding. I smiled. Sometimes karma needs a little push. 7 years ago, you asked me to handle the family healthcare fund, I told Dad as I adjusted his blanket. Remember what you said? Do what's right, not what's easy. His hands trembled as he tried to grasp mine. The nurses said he was still aware, still understanding everything, even if he couldn't speak anymore. I wondered what he thought about all this. My phone buzzed, Sebastian calling. Turn on Channel 6 News, he said without preamble. I grabbed the remote and there was Lucia beaming at the camera. It's going to be the wedding of the year, she gushed. We're talking 6 figures, imported everything, and the most exclusive venue in the state. The reporter smiled. Quite the celebration! How did you manage to fund such an extravagant event? Oh, my family has been saving for years, Lucia said, flashing her engagement ring. They wanted to make sure I had the perfect day. I hit record, my hands shaking with rage. Dad's breathing became laboured, and I quickly turned off the TV. It's okay, I soothed, checking his oxygen levels. I'm handling it. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from the bank investigator. Confirmed unauthorised access. Signature verification failed on all withdrawal documents. Proceeding with fraud investigation. Sebastian arrived an hour later, while I was helping Dad with his lunch. The bank's findings make this airtight, he said, spreading papers across the hospital room's small table. But there's more. Look at this. He showed me Lucia's social media posts, dozens of them, bragging about the wedding costs, tagging luxury vendors, even sharing screenshots of bank transfers. She's documenting her own fraud. Of course she is, I said bitterly. She thinks she's untouchable. A nurse entered to check Dad's vitals. His blood pressure's elevated, she frowned. Has he been stressed? No more than usual, I lied, hiding the legal documents. After the nurse left, Sebastian lowered his voice. The venue called. They're freezing all arrangements pending investigation. Zariah's evidence was comprehensive. Good, I checked my watch. I need to get Dad to his neurologist appointment. Can you... Already handled, Sebastian interrupted. I hired a medical transport service. It's covered by the legal fund. I blinked back tears. Thank you? Don't thank me yet. Look at this. He handed me his tablet. Lucia's latest Instagram story showed her trying on a wedding dress that probably cost more than Dad's monthly care. The caption read, When you know your family has your back. Hakunaya, blessed. Bridezilla. Money well spent. Dad made a sound, the closest he could get to speaking now. I took his hand. I know, Dad. I know. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Please stop this. Lucia's devastated about the venue freezing her deposit. We can work something out, I showed Sebastian. They still don't get it, do they? They will. He pulled out another document. The bank just confirmed the final numbers. Your sister spent exactly $182,665 of the healthcare fund. That's not counting the interest lost or the additional expenses you've covered personally. Add it all up, I said firmly. Every penny. Include Dad's new care costs, the lost interest, everything I've paid out of pocket. I want the full amount. Already done. He pointed to the final figure. With damages, we're looking at close to $300,000. Good. I checked Dad's monitors again. Because his care facility costs just went up. They're saying he needs round-the-clock supervision now. Sebastian's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, then smiled grimly. That was my contact at the bank. They've finished their fraud investigation. Want to hear something interesting? What? Lucia tried to access the account again this morning. Wanted to withdraw more for emergency vendor deposits. I laughed humorlessly. Let me guess. Mom signed off on it. Tried to, but the account's frozen now. And... He paused for effect. The bank has security footage of Lucia attempting to forge your signature. Again. Dad squeezed my hand weakly. I squeezed back. You know what this means? Sebastian asked. That we've got her dead to rights. That. And, he grinned, we can add attempted bank fraud to the civil suit. The bank's pressing criminal charges independently. My phone buzzed again, an alert about Lucia's latest social media post. She was doing a live video about wedding preparations, complaining about difficult vendors and family drama. She has no idea what's coming, does she? I asked. None. Sebastian gathered his papers. The bridal shower's tomorrow. The servers are ready. Want me to do it? Or do you want to deliver them yourself? I looked at Dad, remembering all the times he taught me about responsibility and consequences. Oh no, I said. This one I'm doing personally. Dad's monitors beeped steadily, almost like approval. The bridal shower was exactly as over the top as I expected. Lucia had rented a penthouse suite, filled it with influencers and their cameras, and even hired a professional photographer to document every moment. Perfect. I arrived just as Zariah was leaving, her face tight with barely contained anger. "She's impossible," she whispered as she passed me. "Good luck in there." Inside, Lucia held court among her admirers, wearing a white designer dress that probably cost more than Dad's monthly medication. Mum hovered nearby, nervously glancing between her phone and the door. "Tiffany!" Lucia's voice carried across the room. "You actually came. Everyone, this is my sister, the responsible one." The crowd tittered. Several phones turned to record me. "Wouldn't miss it," I smiled, clutching my large gift bag. "After all, family is everything, right?" Mom's face went pale. She knew that tone. "Oh my God, you brought a gift," Lucia clapped. "I thought you were too busy being mad about the money thing. Come, I'm opening presents now." Perfect timing. I took my place in the circle of watching guests, many still live streaming. "This is going on my wedding channel," one influencer announced. "My followers love dramatic gift openings." Lucia reached for my bag. "It feels heavy." "Oh, it's special," I assured her. "Something to remember forever." She pulled out the wrapped package, tearing into it eagerly. Her smile froze as she revealed the contents, a thick stack of legal documents in a clear plastic folder. What is this?" "Your gift," I said clearly, aware of the cameras. "Civil court papers for fraud, theft, and elder abuse. Plus a bonus. The bank's criminal complaint for forgery. Congratulations." The room went silent. Phones kept recording. "You're serving me? At my bridal shower?" Lucia's voice rose hysterically. "Well, you did use Dad's healthcare money for your wedding," I said, still smiling. "I thought this venue was appropriate. Plus, all your followers are here to witness it." "Turn those cameras off!" Mom rushed forward. "This is a private family matter." "Nothing private about stealing $180,000 from a dying man's care fund," I countered. "Right, Lucia? Isn't that what you bragged about on Channel 6? The family savings that made your dream wedding possible?" Lucia lunged for the documents, but I held up my phone. "I wouldn't. The papers are already filed. This is just your copy. Oh, and I'm live streaming too. Dad's nurse is showing him right now." "You bitch!" Lucia screamed. "You're ruining everything!" "No, you did that when you stole from our father." I turned to the shocked crowd. "Fun fact for all you influencers. The money she's spending on this dream wedding, it was meant for our father's medical care. He has a degenerative condition and can't even speak anymore. But hey, at least his daughter gets imported roses, right?" The influencer's expressions changed from shock to disgust. Several stopped recording and backed away from Lucia. "Mum," Lucia wailed, "do something." "There's nothing she can do," I said calmly. "The bank's fraud department has all the evidence, including security footage of you forging my signature multiple times." "I'll sue you for defamation." Lucia grabbed her phone. "Please do. I have recordings of every conversation where you bragged about stealing the money, plus your social media posts about spending family savings. Your wedding planner's already provided her evidence too." Mum tried one last time. "Please, Tiffany, we can work this out privately." "Like you worked out taking Dad's care money privately?" I stood up. "No thanks. I'm done keeping family secrets." An influencer raised her hand timidly. Is it okay if we report on this? My followers care about elder abuse awareness." "Report away," I smiled. "Just make sure to mention the full amount stolen, $182,747. Oh, and don't forget the attempted second fraud this morning when she tried to take more." "Get out!" Lucia screamed, mascara running. "All of you, get out!" "Gladly." I headed for the door, then turned back. Just paying it forward, Mum, with interest. As I left, I heard the influencers already making their videos. "You won't believe what just happened at this bridal shower." My phone buzzed. Sebastian texting, How'd it go? I sent back. Mission accomplished. Check social media in about 5 minutes. Another text came through, this one from Dad's nurse. He watched the whole thing on my phone. When Lucia screamed about the money, he actually smiled. First time in weeks. I got into my car just as the first viral tweets started appearing. Bridal shower fraud trending yet? I texted Sebastian. Give it an hour, he replied. The venue's already cancelled her booking. Seems they don't want the publicity. I started the engine, hearing Lucia's screams echo from the penthouse above. Sometimes karma needs an audience. The hospital called at 3 a.m. Dad had taken a turn for the worse, severe respiratory distress. As I rushed down the fluorescent-lit corridor, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. Your sister's wedding fraud story has gone viral, Sebastian texted. Every major news outlet wants comments. I ignored it all, focusing on the doctor's words. He needs immediate intensive care. The costs will be significant. Do whatever's necessary, I said, gripping Dad's hand as they prepared him for transfer. The financial office needs to discuss payment arrangements, the doctor added carefully. I'll handle it. Mum's voice came from behind me. I turned to see her looking smaller, older, her designer clothes replaced by rumpled sweats. No, I said firmly. You don't get to handle anything anymore. He's my husband. The husband whose care fund you gave away? That husband? A nurse interrupted. Mr. West is here regarding the payment. Fernando? I stepped into the hallway to find Lucia's fiancé looking uncomfortable in an expensive suit. My family wants to help, he said quietly. We had no idea where the wedding money really came from. They're horrified. Fernando! Lucia's shriek echoed down the hall as she stormed toward us. What are you doing here? We're supposed to be meeting the new venue coordinator. There is no new venue, he said. My parents cancelled everything. They're withdrawing support for the wedding. Lucia's face contorted. Because of her? She pointed at me. Because of her little publicity stunt. Because you stole from your dying father, Fernando snapped. Do you know what this has done to my family's reputation? My father's business partners are calling, asking if we knew about the fraud. It wasn't fraud. Mum approved it. Your mother doesn't have sole authority over that account, I interrupted. And you knew that. Just like you knew exactly what you were doing when you forged my signature. Multiple times. Lucia's phone chimed. She glanced at it and went pale. No. What now? Mum asked wearily. The bridal shower video. It's everywhere. All the major wedding blogs are sharing it. They're calling me, Marchine Bridalzilla, a thief. You should see Twitter, Fernando added grimly. Your little speech about the imported roses while your father can't breathe. Not playing well with the public. This is all your fault. Lucia lunged at me, but Fernando caught her arm. Stop it. This is exactly why my parents pulled out. You're not the victim here. A doctor emerged from Dad's room. He's stabilised, but he needs to be moved to the ICU. Who's handling the financial arrangements? I am. Fernando stepped forward. My family will cover all costs, past and future. Consider it partial restitution. Lucia gaped at him. What are you doing? The right thing. Finally. He turned to me. I've already spoken with Sebastian. We'll cooperate fully with the legal proceedings. You're taking her side? Lucia's voice rose hysterically. I'm your fiancé. Not anymore. Fernando loosened his tie. My parents' lawyers advised me to distance myself from all this. I'm sorry, but the wedding's off. Mum tried to intervene. Please, everyone, can't we just... Mrs. Phillips? A hospital administrator approached. We need to discuss the previous unpaid bills. I'll handle those too, Fernando said. All of them. And... He hesitated. I have something you should hear. He pulled out his phone, played a recording. Lucia's voice filled the hallway. Just get Mom to sign whatever. Tiffany's too busy playing nurse to check the accounts, and Dad can't talk anyway. By the time they figure it out, we'll be married and living in Europe. Mom sank into a chair. Lucia? You planned this? It's not... I didn't... Lucia looked around wildly, finding no allies. I'll sue you all for emotional distress. I'll... Save it for court, I cut her off. I have 7 years of recordings. Every guilt trip, every manipulation, every time you and Mum used Dad's condition to control me while plotting to steal his care money. You recorded us, Mum whispered. I learned from the best, didn't I? All those years of subtle manipulation taught me to keep receipts. The ICU nurse appeared. Miss Phillips, your father's asking for you. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, Lucia. About that emotional distress lawsuit, check your inbox. Sebastian just sent over the countersuit. Turns out elder abuse has some pretty serious financial penalties. You're destroying this family, Mum called after me. I looked back one last time, seeing them there. My mother's crumpled defeat, Lucia's mascara-streaked rage, Fernando's quiet shame. No, I said softly. You did that when you chose her wedding over Dad's life. I'm just making sure everyone pays their fair share. As I walked away, I heard Lucia's wail. My followers are all unfollowing me. Sometimes karma comes with a trending hashtag. The courthouse hallway buzzed with whispers as Lucia and Mom arrived, both wearing designer black like they were attending a funeral rather than a civil hearing. Lucia's social media army was noticeably absent. Amazing what fraud charges can do to an influencer's following. Sebastian touched my arm. Ready? I nodded, straightening my simple blue suit. Dad had always liked me in blue. Inside the courtroom, Fernando sat with his family's lawyers, carefully avoiding Lucia's glare. Zariah was there too, clutching a folder of evidence. Even some of Lucia's former wedding vendors had shown up, eager to distance themselves from the scandal. The judge entered, reviewing the papers before her. Quite the case we have here, she said, peering over her glasses. Fraud, elder abuse, multiple forgery counts. Miss Phillips, please approach. I stood. She looked at me carefully. You're the plaintiff? Yes, Your Honour. And you have evidence supporting these serious allegations? Sebastian stepped forward with our exhibits. We have bank records, forged documents, social media posts bragging about the spending, security footage of unauthorised withdrawals, and recorded conversations demonstrating premeditation. Objection! Lucia's lawyer jumped up. Those recordings were made without consent. Single-party consent state, Sebastian countered smoothly. And most of the evidence comes from your client's own public social media posts. The judge nodded. Proceed. For the next hour, Sebastian methodically laid out our case. Bank statements showing the systematic drainage of Dad's care fund. Social media posts where Lucia bragged about her six-figure wedding. Security footage of her forging my signature. The bridal shower video that went viral. Then came the recordings. Lucia's voice filled the courtroom. Mum, just sign it. Tiffany's too responsible to check. She'll probably blame herself when she finds out. Mum's voice. I don't know, sweetheart. Your father's getting worse. He won't know the difference. Besides, Fernando's family is loaded. We'll figure something out after the wedding. Lucia squirmed in her seat as more recordings played. Her lawyer looked increasingly desperate. And finally, Sebastian said, footage from the venue's security cameras showing the defendant attempting to access additional funds after the account was frozen. The judge turned to Lucia's lawyer. Your response? He stood, adjusting his tie nervously. Your Honour, my client acknowledges poor judgment, but maintains that her mother authorised, the mother, who had no legal right to solely authorise these withdrawals, the judge interrupted. The same mother who's now also facing charges. Mum sank lower in her seat. Furthermore, the judge continued, we have evidence of premeditation, multiple forgery attempts, and public boasting about the misuse of funds meant for end-of-life care. Does your client wish to reconsider her position? Lucia jumped up. This isn't fair. She's always been the favourite, the responsible one. I just wanted one thing for myself. Sit down, her lawyer hissed, but Lucia was beyond control. She recorded everything. She planned this. She's trying to ruin my life. Miss Phillips, the judge's voice cut through Lucia's hysteria, you stole from your disabled father's healthcare fund to finance a luxury wedding. You forged documents, bragged about it publicly, and showed no remorse even after your father's condition worsened. Do you have anything relevant to say in your defence? Lucia burst into tears. But it was my dream wedding. The judge's face hardened. I've heard enough. She turned to me. Your requested damages? Sebastian stood. Full restitution of $180,747, plus $120,000 in additional damages for emotional distress, lost interest, and supplementary care costs. We're also requesting a restraining order. Granted. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Additionally, I'm referring this case to the District Attorney for criminal prosecution. Elder abuse is a felony in this state. Lucia screamed, "You can't do this! I'm an influencer! I have followers!" "Had followers," someone in the gallery muttered. "Remove her," the judge ordered, as Lucia continued screaming. "And Mrs. Phillips, I suggest you obtain separate counsel. The fraud charges against you will be heard next month." As security led Lucia out, still wailing about her ruined wedding, Fernando approached me. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I should have said something sooner." "Yes, you should have." Mom tried to catch my eye as she hurried past, but I turned away. Sebastian gathered our papers. "It's done," he said softly. "Not quite." I checked my phone. Dad's nurse had been live streaming the whole thing to him. Her message read, "He smiled when the judge announced the verdict. He's proud of you." Outside, reporters waited with cameras. Lucia was still screaming about betrayal and ruined dreams. "Any comment?" A reporter thrust a microphone at me. "I thought about Dad, about 7 years of sacrifice, about dreams delayed but not destroyed." "Justice doesn't care about your follower count," I said simply, and walked away. Behind me, I heard Lucia's final wail. "But what about my wedding?" "Sometimes karma comes with a gavel." "The paint colour isn't quite right," I told the contractor, gesturing at the community art centre's main wall. "It needs to be warmer, more welcoming. Like this?" He held up a different sample. "Perfect." I checked my phone. Time to visit Dad. The care facility was bright, modern, and most importantly, fully paid for. Dad sat in the garden, his nurse reading him the morning news. His condition had stabilised under proper care, and though he still couldn't speak, his eyes were alert and aware. "Hey, Dad." I kissed his cheek. "Want to see the art centre progress?" I showed him photos on my tablet. His eyes lit up at each image, especially the sign design. The Ledger Community Arts Centre. "Like the name?" I smiled. Seemed appropriate. The nurse's phone buzzed. "Oh," she said. "Your sister's sentencing is trending again." I didn't need to check. The news had been everywhere. Lucia, former influencer turned convicted felon, sentenced to 5 years for elder abuse and fraud. Her social media empire had crumbled overnight. Last I heard, she was writing a prison blog about learning from mistakes still trying to build a following. "Miss Phillips?" A staff member approached. "Your mother's here again. Should I?" "No," I said firmly. The restraining order's still in effect. Mum had gotten probation and mandatory counselling after pleading guilty to reduced charges. She spent her time between therapy sessions sending me lengthy emails about forgiveness and family healing. I kept the emails, of course. Old habits die hard. "Sebastian's waiting in your office," the nurse mentioned. I found him reviewing documents in the art centre's newly painted office. "The final restitution payment came through," he said without looking up. "Fernando's family made good on their promise." "Good," I sat down. "The contractor needs final approval on the children's art room colours." "Tiffany." Sebastian set down his papers. "When was the last time you actually painted something yourself?" Before I could answer, my phone chimed. A message from Zariah. "Thought you'd want to see this." She'd attached a social media post from one of Lucia's former bridesmaids. Remember that viral bridal Zilla thief story? Her sister just opened an art centre with the recovered money. Sometimes karma's beautiful. So justice served. "She's right, you know," Sebastian said, reading over my shoulder. "This place is beautiful. It's what Dad always wanted for me." I touched the fresh paint on the walls. He used to say art heals people. Speaking of healing, Sebastian pulled out one last document. "The prison approved Lucia's request. She wants to meet." "No." I turned back to the colour samples. "I'm done with family drama. She claims she's changed. Says prison therapy helped her understand." "Sebastian," I met his eyes. "Some things don't need a neat resolution. Some relationships are better left broken." He nodded slowly. "And your mom's latest email?" "Already archived with the others. Evidence doesn't expire." A knock interrupted us, the contractor again. "Miss Phillips?" "We found something interesting during renovation. Behind the old walls, looks like original art supplies. Really old ones. Must have been here since this was a school." I followed him to investigate. The discovered supplies were vintage, beautiful, paintbrushes, easels, even some preserved canvases. Perfect timing, Sebastian said. The children's programme starts next week. Dad would love that. I picked up a brush, feeling its weight, using old art to make something new. My phone buzzed again. The care facility. Dad was having a good day, wanted to see the art centre in person. They could bring him in his wheelchair if I approved. Tell them yes, I said, already imagining Dad's smile when he saw what his sacrificed savings had ultimately created. Sebastian gathered his papers. Want me to stay? No. I dipped the brush in paint, approaching the wall. I think it's time I made something myself. He paused at the door. You know, most people would have just taken the money and disappeared. Most people didn't have Dad teaching them about responsibility. I started painting, the strokes feeling natural despite the years away. Besides, revenge doesn't have to mean destruction. Sometimes it means building something better. As Sebastian left, I heard the care facility van arriving. Soon they'd wheel Dad in, show him how his daughter had transformed stolen wedding money into a community legacy, how his lessons about keeping receipts had turned family betrayal into public art. I stepped back, admiring the first strokes of my mural. Below it, a small plaque read, "The Ledger, where every story counts." Sometimes karma isn't about getting even. Sometimes it's about creating something that lasts longer than revenge. But I still keep the receipts just in case.